So I'd like to call the meeting to order. First business on the agenda is the approval of minutes. The first item is approval of the regular minutes of April 4th, 2018. I'll accept a motion.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Second. From Aaron. Do we have any discussion, corrections on the regular minutes? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Abstain.
Jasmine abstains. I'll accept a motion for the approval of non-public minutes of the April 4th, 2018 meeting.
I'll make a motion.
I'll
Thank you,
second it.
Matt. Yeah, thank you, Aaron. Any discussion, changes? Look those over. Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions?
Abstain.
And I'll accept a motion for the approval of return to public minutes, April 4th, 2018.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Aaron. Any comments on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And abstentions?
Abstain.
And we have one slight change here. It says next item is approval of non-public minutes of April 10th, 2018. We should have in there in your packet the minutes from the public meeting of that evening. So we held a meeting on Tuesday the 10th for the purpose of holding a non-public session. We had to enter into a public session first. So we'll be looking to approve those minutes that are in your packet. And because the non-public minutes of April 10th were voted to be sealed, we will not be discussing or approving them in public. We have to then do it in non-public. So we will be doing that at the end of the meeting as we go into a non-public session. So with all that said, I will accept a motion for approval of the public minutes of April 10th, 2018.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Matt.
I'll second.
Brian? And any comments or corrections on those that you may see? We're good? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Abstain.
Jasmine, thank you. We're going to shift the agenda a little bit, just to move up a couple things we have here. So instead of going into communication, we're going to have an educational focus presentation from Christine Morse from the New England Center for Children. And then after that item, we will hear from the junior class. We'll move you guys up a little bit in the agenda so you don't have to stick around all night. So Christine, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I'm just going to talk a little bit about the New England Center for Children's partner program. So I oversee the New England Center for Children's services to public schools in New Hampshire and Vermont. And one of our services is the partner program. So I'm going to just tell you a little bit about that. It's a very short presentation, so there's plenty of time for questions. Okay, just a little context first. The New England Center for Children opened in 1975. It's a private nonprofit education, research, and treatment center for children with autism and similar educational and behavioral challenges. They have based in Southborough, Massachusetts, which is about 30 minutes west of Boston. They have a residential school, a day school, integrated preschool. They also have developed a specialized curriculum for autism and training programs. But the branch of the New England Center that I represent is public school services. We have people based in New Hampshire, Vermont, Maine, and Connecticut that provide services to public schools. So we bring what we do at the center into the public schools. Okay, so what the partner program is in 1999, a school district in Massachusetts had 4 preschoolers that they were sending to our day school. So we have a day school that's 14 months all the way up through high school. So these kiddos had to be on a bus for an hour each way. So the district asked us if we would consider piloting doing something similar to what we do in our day program for kids that age in a classroom in their school district. So we tried it. We provided a teacher and staff and training and lots of supports, and it was pretty successful. And then other area school districts heard about it and asked if we would do it in their districts. So it started to grow. Now we have 43 classrooms across 5 states, and we do preschool all the way up through high school. Oops. So the components of the partner program are the New England Center for Children provides a full-time master's level teacher certified in severe special needs education with at least 3 years working in one of our schools in Massachusetts. And that we found is key. We've tried having people oversee the program who hadn't had that many years' experience working in one of our schools, and it wasn't as effective because we need somebody who can take what's there and bring it into a classroom in a public school. So weekly clinical supervision from a board-certified behavior analyst. We provide training for paraprofessionals. The school district provides the paraprofessional staff, and there's one. Most of the kids in our classrooms are one-to-one staffed, and most of the kids in the classroom require that level of supports. We provide an individualized education model, so each student has their own schedule, their own program, their own skills that they're working on, access to inclusion, a specialized curriculum in addition to modification of the general ed curriculum, and then we collaborate across all areas, so speech and language, occupational therapy, other school special education staff, and we collaborate closely with parents. So part of our collaboration with parents is we provide weekly in-home training, which is really key. When parents take advantage of it, it makes a really big difference in the progress that the students make. All right. So the goals of the program are to provide the same continuum of support as an out-of-district placement for students with autism. So our goal is really to keep kids in district or to bring kids back into district and give them access to their community and to activities in the general education classroom. Also to increase skills and independence across skill areas. So autism, and then, not just autism. Autism is kind of a broad umbrella at this point. I don't know if you've met one person with autism, you've met one person with autism. There's such a range of skills and needs, and so it's very individualized. So some kids might be working on above grade level curriculum and basic social skills. Other kids might be working on self-care skills like washing their hands and routines and things like that, and working on below grade level curriculum. Okay, and one of our goals, and we always have a plan to work on this, is to fade supports as skills and independence develop. So our goal for all the kids is to not need our program anymore and to be able to move to a less restrictive setting. So we only have 6 students in our classrooms at a time for the first year it opens, and then the following year we have 7. The most we have is 8, and the reason is because of the intensity of their needs, and we want to make sure that we can provide the services that they need. We don't want to dilute the services too much. So we and the district are usually pretty heavily motivated to have those kids make progress so that they don't need the program, so that there's room for other kids. Okay, this is just a division of the resources. So the New England Center, like I said, provides the special education teacher who oversees the program, is case manager, and provides ongoing training and support for the paraprofessionals. The BCBA is from the New England Center, is there 1 day a week. BCBA is board certified behavior analysts. They oversee like a lot of the behavior plans and things like that. But they're also basically on call throughout the week. A curriculum that we developed specifically for students with autism, and it's got it addresses a range of skills, so not just academics, but a variety of things like social skills, all the way up to filling out a job application. That is typically in our programs a supplement to the general education curriculum. So our first goal is to have kids be able to access the general education curriculum with modifications, and the teacher would provide those modifications or work with the classroom teacher to do that depending on the goals of the classroom teacher. The ACE curriculum or Autism Curriculum Encyclopedia either supplements kids' curriculum, so we might be working on things like social skills through that, and independence in some areas, and working in general ed, working with general education curriculum in other areas. Some kids need most of their curriculum to be modified, and so they might access that more than others. We provide training and coaching for the paraprofessionals, so up front we provide an intensive week of training. That basically, it's a lot of information, and it's all the information that we found that people really need to have before working with kids with autism, or kids with autism and needs at this level of intensity. Basically, we're front-loading, and then the teacher works with them when they're working with the kids to make sure that they can implement everything that they learned. It's a lot of information. Also, we provide, so the New England Center for Children has a lot of systems and supports and resources that we access regularly. So for example, one of the students in one of our classrooms in a pretty remote area has a pretty severe eating or feeding disorder, they call it. So he won't eat anything but Cheez-Its. Literally will not eat anything but Cheez-Its. We have a specialist at the New England Center who consults around the world on feeding disorders. So we asked him to consult on this case. So that's just an example. We have other people at the center who specialize in other things, but it's very helpful. The school district provides the one-to-one paraprofessional staff. We ask that their schedule be a little bit different. So basically we ask that they be there for the entire school day for when kids arrive and leave, but also an additional hour. So for the most part, paraprofessionals in our program tend to have 5 additional hours a week over typical paraprofessional schedules. The district provides the classroom materials, administrative support, so we work closely with the building administrators. Also, the building administrators or someone in the district is technically the supervisor of all the paraprofessionals, so we have to work closely with them. The district provides inclusion opportunities. Each student is assigned to a classroom just like all other kids. Even though we have a separate classroom, it's not a self-contained classroom. All of the kids have their own classrooms and they access the partner program at different levels. So some kids might need to be in there the majority of their day and be with their general ed peers during like recess, snack, lunch, those types of things, and gradually we'll increase that. Other kids will spend a good chunk of their day in the general ed classroom and then access our room for when they need breaks, when they are overstimulated, when, so for social skills opportunities, for small group social skills opportunities. Obviously, the district provides the students. So this is a list of the initial paraprofessional trainings that we do. So I won't go through all of them, but as you can see, it's pretty intensive. There's a lot of information there. We also provide ongoing refreshers because the different staff who work with different kids might not use all of these skills all of the time, but we want everyone in the program to be able to work with every other student. So we provide regular refreshers to make sure that that's the case. Okay. All right, so we take a lot of data in our programs because we try to make database decisions so that we're not making decisions about the kids' educational programs based on a hunch, but based on actual data that shows whether something's working or whether it isn't. So I'm just going to show you a little bit of that outcome data. I have 3 more slides, and then you can ask questions. So this is skill acquisition. So this is data from the last school year. So we had 220 students across our programs, 3,646 IEP objectives, 94% of them were met or progress was made. Come on, there we go. Okay, support and inclusion. So this again was from the last school year. 93% of students in our classroom participated in activities with typically developing peers, which is a pretty big deal for a lot of these kids who, many of the kids in our classrooms, by the time they're in our classroom, haven't spent any time with their typically developing peers because of behavior issues or a variety of different things. 64% were included in general education classes. And then clinically significant reductions in challenging behavior. Basically what that means is their challenging behavior decreased to an extent that it made a positive difference in their lives. So since September of 2017, all the students in our classrooms, 87% of the behaviors had clinically significant reductions. So a lot of these things are things like some of the kids engage in behavior that they'll hurt themselves, or they engage in behavior that prevents them from being able to be in the classroom because it's too disruptive. And there's a wide range. All right, that's all I got. Yes.
I have some questions. They're fairly general, but so when you described the program, you talked about a first year, a second year, and then a third year. Is that third year a transition of responsibilities back onto the school district? Because it sounds like after the third year, the program
Well, not
moves on.
really.
Okay.
The first year is startup year.
Right.
And all of the staff are new, and they're learning as well as the students. So we cap it at 6
Right,
students.
right.
The second year, we'll take an additional student and additional staff because most of the staff in the program will already be trained. Most of the school districts will stay in the district. Some districts will take over programs. It depends. We've had different levels of success with doing that. So it really depends on the district's ability to hire somebody with the skill level to be able to oversee a program like this and take new kids with new needs and adjust. And so that's what's been hard. So some districts, like we have 4 classrooms in a district in Vermont, and we trialed them replacing the teachers with their teachers, and the problem they had is they just couldn't hire teachers that were able to.
So there's not almost like a shadowing or a mentoring program within the first 2 or 3 years of a teacher as well as paraprofessionals, so it's just paraprofessionals from the district without a teacher from the district.
Right.
Right, okay.
Yeah. We have done shadowing with that other district I told you about.
Yep. But it's not like a 4th year, like kind of a handoff, so that we would continue the program.
Mm-hmm. We haven't done that.
Okay.
We are open to modified models,
Yeah.
so we would talk about that, but we haven't done that. I think partially because most districts don't want to hire a master's level teacher with experience in autism as a paraprofessional in the program. like it's an added expense on
Right.
top of the program.
Yeah, okay. The next question I had was, do you have any information on what the take rate for the parents' involvement in the program is? And does that, the take rate, so you had said that there's programming in the home for parents as well?
Yeah.
Whose children are involved in this program? So what percentage of parents get involved or take you up on that offer? And additionally, is there measurable impact on the progress made or the goals that are met by the children whose parents take you up on that?
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes, so I don't have the data right now on how many, like the percentage of
Yeah,
parents who are
I'm just
taking that
interested,
up.
if, you know, is there
Yeah, I would say off the top of my head, 100% take us up on, we have monthly, what we call monthly clinics. We'll meet with the parents monthly, we'll talk about goals at home, we'll go over the student's progress from the last month, and we'll problem solve. And it's an hour once a month with the teacher and the behavior analyst. For almost 100% of parents take us up on that. The home training, I would say, is closer to 50%. And I think
not bad.
there's several reasons. The first year, there were fewer normally. And I think part of it is because parents need to learn to trust us before they want us in their homes.
Sure.
They don't want us going in there if they don't know us telling them how to raise their kids. You know what I mean? They
Yeah,
need
yeah.
to know that that's not what we're there for.
Right.
That's not what we're doing.
Okay.
Yes.
You said your program takes 6 students. Are the 6 students, are they all the same age or is it a mix?
So we can have up to a 4-year range.
So
The
you
state
could have a
allows us to
kindergartner
have.
with a 3rd grader?
We could, yes. Yeah,
And you just teach to the student?
exactly. They
Okay.
each have an individual program. I mean, sometimes if we have 2 students in 3rd grade and they end up in the same classroom, that's sometimes really helpful. And a lot of times we'll do small group activities because some of the kids have trouble learning in that kind of an environment. So we'll do small group activities with kids of the same age. But from year to year, we could have a 4-year gap between some students.
I have one more.
Yeah.
Sorry. So you provided a lot of examples of children with autism, but at the beginning of the presentation, you had said that there were other children as
Yeah.
well. So could you just give me some examples of maybe some of the other challenges that some of the students have that you work with, their behavior?
Sure.
Yeah.
So basically, we get referrals for kids with various diagnoses, and we'll take any student who we think we could meet the needs of.
Okay.
So there are kids, we have kids with Down syndrome, we have kids with diagnoses of anxiety or emotional behavior disorders.
Okay.
And we have these days, a lot of kids have multiple diagnoses we're finding. But so what we usually do when we get a referral is either me or one of my more senior level behavior analysts will go and observe the student, review the file, speak with parents and people who work closely with the student, and figure out if we indeed can meet the student's needs. If we can, regardless of diagnosis, we'll take the student into the program. Some school districts get program approval that limits their ability to take kids outside of autism, and that's up to the school district. So some of the bigger districts don't want it to be a catch-all, so I think they make it a very specific population. Or they have other programs that address the needs of kids with other diagnoses.
Yep.
But the smaller districts, who may not have 6 kids right up front, we tend to take whatever kids they really feel like they can't serve in the general education classroom.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I just had one question. So you said there's a max 4-year range of the 6 students you take. So if you're taking kindergartens and 3rd grades, they kind of max out. So if someone's starting kindergarten, then that 4-year range is kind of the max that they stay in the program, or
It's just, we can't have kids.
you can't have them.
We can't have kids that are more than 4 years older than, so we can't have a kindergarten and a 5th
Okay.
grader because the state doesn't allow us to have kids that have that are that much older.
Right, right.
So it's more that they can stay in. So if we have somebody that starts in kindergarten, they can go all the way up through 5th grade if we're in a school that's K through 5, as long as there's no more than a 4-year gap between them and any of
Yeah,
the other
okay.
students.
So my question leading into that was going to be, so your ultimate goal is to get them into a less restrictive environment.
Yeah.
And I know every case is different, every student is different, but, what's kind of the average, if you have someone coming in 1st grade,
Yeah.
do you tend to have them for 2-3 years, or are you finding a lot of them are getting back into that least restrictive environment quicker through this program, or?
There's such a range.
Right, I know, it's a tough question.
We have some kids in the program for a year, and then they're back in the general education program, and we'll provide them, we'll train the paraprofessional who's going to be with them in general education, and we'll
Okay.
provide some consultation maybe for a transition year, and then usually the district will entirely take over. There are other kids who go all the way up through 5th grade, and then the district has to come up with something for them for middle school.
Sure.
It really depends on the level of need of the student.
Okay.
So for the most part, when kids leave our classroom, it's usually because there's a classroom that's for the elementary students, but there's not one for middle school students. For the most part, around 75% of the kids end up, it's 75 or, no, it's 84%. About 84% of the kids end up either in a general education classroom setting or in one of the school district's pre-existing programs. So, and then other kids will either the school district will decide to set up another program because it's less expensive than sending them out of district, or they'll go to an alternative placement.
Thank you.
Yes.
Do you find that the need is greatest at the elementary level, like when they're starting their education, or it's just a range?
It's a range, but the research shows that more progress is made more quickly the younger that you get in the students. So we definitely see that in our programs, and it's much easier to manage problem behavior when they're little. So when we get kids in middle school that are still having temper tantrums and they're 150 pounds, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Then it gets harder to meet their needs just because of that. Any other questions?
All set? I think we're good.
Thank you.
Good.
Well, thank you for
That's
coming.
great.
All right, thanks for having me.
So we will hear from the class of 2019 on their trip.
Hi, I'm Samantha Tower, our class president, and we're here to present our our trip next year. Thank you.
Sit up.
Okay.
Yes.
So as you can see, it's a trip to New York City. We have a lot of educational stuff we'd be doing, like the 911 okay, I can't talk. Memorial, the Empire State Building, the Museum of Art, the American Museum of Natural History, and we're even planning on going to like a Broadway show. So there's a lot of educational pieces to the trip. And we're here looking for your approval of it.
So how many students are going, Sam?
So right now we have 13 who say that they're gonna attend. The other ones said that they couldn't attend either because they already have plans with like their family, or they need to work over the summer to save for college or stuff like that.
How many people is that? How many people are in your class?
We have about 20 in our class.
Depends on the day.
Yeah, it depends.
Some days it's 18, some days.
So it looks like you're taking one charter bus, is that the plan? Yeah.
We're a small enough class that that's good for.
Yeah, well. And you were able to book all the activity, or you know you're going to be able to book all the activities you want to do
It's
based
all
on
through
the
one
travel agency?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
Okay.
already set, yeah.
Did they put together this itinerary, or did you guys come up with this?
So we were able to negotiate some parts of it, like the 5th day, we were able to negotiate that in. But most of the other ones, we got to choose like which of the museums we picked.
Yeah.
Looks like fun.
It does look like a lot of fun. It is a fun trip. We did that with the class of 2005. It's pretty much the exact same trip.
In 2008.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did the same
Are you guys staying in the city or are you staying outside?
We'd be staying in New Jersey, so that's it.
Anybody else have any questions on the trip?
Well, I'm impressed. A lot of paperwork here.
Will this be the first time in New York for a bunch of the kids? Do you know?
For me, yes, I think
Yeah.
a bunch of the other ones too.
No?
First time.
They haven't been either.
So yes, probably for a bunch of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
That's cool.
Nice
That was
job.
one of the reasons originally they tossed around Florida, they tossed around Savannah and that area, and they kept coming back to New York as being somewhere that a lot of them hadn't ever been and should go to. So, like Florida, a lot of them vacation there with their family, so it wasn't like anything for them to do together. So that's
I kind of like how you guys are actually getting to see New York.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Instead of
do
just
have a
picking
tour
the beach
guide
on the
on
Jersey
one
Shore. I know
day,
you're
so-
through the Jersey Shore.
The tour guide on the financial district, so he's gonna take us around, show us the history of that area.
Oh, okay.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think about 4 hours worth.
Nice.
What, do they give you a tour guide?
For
We
one
have to pay
day.
For the one day.
For the one
One
day,
day.
we have to go and pay for it.
Only died one day.
Yeah.
What's the transportation situation like to all the different things? You just taking the
We have a motor
subway?
coach on call. We just call them, they come pick us up and drop us off in other areas. It's a lot of walking in New York, so.
Yeah.
But we have, anytime we need the coach, we just call him and he comes picks us up.
Which was another funny one, we were comparing Florida to New York, and they were like, well, so the coach bus has Wi-Fi, a bathroom, and we don't have to deal with airport security? And we were like, uh-huh.
Yeah. If Nobody has any further questions?
We need to approve this?
Yeah, I think we need to vote to approve the trip at this point, right? And then later on, we'll see the
So you have to.
more particulars and chaperones and stuff like that.
So I'll make a motion to approve the Lin-Wood class of 2019's senior trip to New York City.
I will second that.
All right, all in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
2 more months, we'll be seniors.
Stop that.
I know, I said that for your benefit, Tara. I'm not too far behind you.
Yeah, I know. Thanks for that too, but.
Okay, so we'll move back to communication section of the agenda. Judy, do you have any correspondence for us?
No, I do have just an update on on May 10th, there is a training for new school board members, and it will be in Whitefield High School, the regional high school
Okay.
in Whitefield. So that was one of the things that just came through
Okay,
on May 10th, 5:30 to 8:30.
all right. And
Judy, that's something that I was planning on attending. do I schedule that and then,
All you have to do is call Fran and she'll schedule it for you.
okay.
And we didn't receive any correspondence directly to the board. So reports, business administrator report. Debbie?
Accounts payable is going around for this week. Next week, with the school vacation week, it is payroll week, so we'll be running payroll. So Cindy will be sending out an email at some point for you guys to come in, and whoever's around to look at the payroll manifest, so she can get that out so people can get paid next week.
Okay.
Just, yeah.
And was that it?
That's it.
That's all I got. Judy, superintendent's report.
Yeah, I just wanted to update the board as far as the bus accident goes, as what was reported to the board as soon as we had the information. However, everyone is okay. That was from the accident from the school district. Counselors were available. Kelly and Scott had arranged counselors to come in, and your North Country school districts offered their services as well. So there were more counselors available if we needed them. And we did well, Channel 9 did reach out to the district, in which we did respond. However, due to the intensity of the accident, and there's only certain information that we can release as well, so we released as minimal as possible and directed everyone to the state police and the law enforcement that was involved. You do have a couple of board action items, but those are coming up under your agenda. We do have summer school in the planning stages, and summer school will be from July 9th to August 2nd. It's 2 hours a day, 4 days a week. And you do have a copy of the audit report letter in your packet, and the auditors will be coming on May 9th to have some explanations and answer any questions that the board may have. I think the rest of it can be, as we go through the agenda, you'll see there is one particular thing in the agenda regarding grants, and that has to be on the agenda every year in order for the district to be able to access any grants that could be available or that we could research and access for on behalf of the district. So that's something that the board has to vote on every year on an annual basis. I think that's it.
Okay.
Fill in as we go along
Yep.
on the agenda.
And you said on May 9th, the auditor's coming to present to the board? So
Yes.
it'll be on our
Yeah.
agenda for May 9th?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if there's any questions that you can think of ahead of time, they were just gonna, we tried to get them in last year, so if there's any specific questions that you might have, just let me know. And I can forward it to that to them in advance.
Okay. Mr. Courier, principal report.
Thank you. Just a reminder to the board that on May 1st, Judge Broderick will be presenting out. There are two parts to that day. One, he'll be presenting to middle and high school students at 1 o'clock that afternoon. He'll be talking to them as far as a student presentation. They'll be debriefing afterwards. And then there will be a parent, there'll be a community forum that evening, I believe at 6 p.m. That'll be here in the elementary NPR. As there'll be announcements about that as we get closer. It gets a little strange because of vacation in between. So there'll be some announcements, like an all-call over the course of break, just reminding folks to come into the community portion.
I was going to ask, is that advertised yet or no?
That will be.
That's what you're saying?
That we're putting that together. There was some pamphlets that were sent home as part of that. There's when the next newsletter goes out that Brenda's going to be sending out.
Yeah.
That is included in that.
Yeah.
I believe some flyers have been kind of put together for students. But then there were again we find that the all call you'll hear my voice sometime this time next week as well. So there's that. I also want to.
I don't know what is that all about?
Judge Broderick, he is coming in to speak to students about, he did made a lot of charges as far as with mental health, and just kind of be some awareness. And
The former Chief Justice Broderick?
Yeah.
yes.
So he's here about
Does he know you?
He may.
Okay, just want to know. Just want to make sure.
I worked at the Supreme Court, I think,
Okay.
either
Does he
right
have-
as his term was, as he
Does he have
retired. or
nice
just
things to
after.
say about you?
I doubt he remembers me. He was also dean of the law school. I was there for a short period of time. But
So he
he's,
definitely knows.
he's here talking about the mental health stuff that,
Mental health
that
piece,
he's been
yes.
working.
For both sessions, both with students and both with the forum at the end of the evening. The second part, I want to, we had another speaker this mid-morning today. Kevin Skarupa from WMUR was here to speak to our middle and high school students. We tried to press upon him like what the forecast is going to look like for the next couple of days. He would not tell us. So we just kind of, but he was able to talk to our middle school students, excuse me, regarding some of what he does, and was able to kind of, he was in the area. So this is also the first time he had been at Lin-Wood, and he was very excited about being able to be here and kind of check it off his list as he tries to get to as many schools as he possibly can. So it was, I've never heard so many kids cheer for a meteorologist before, but that was kind of good to hear, and it's just someone different to come in and talk to them today. I also want to commend Aaron Laux and Diana Pamplin for their work this past week. It'll be on Tuesday for Jump Rope for Heart. They concluded the event. They raised approximately $6,000.
Wow.
That's an annual event. They've been doing it now for 12 years. Some things that are, obviously there's the fundraising piece to it, but I thought one of the really touching pieces that they did, that I was incredibly impressed with, is that during the event when they were in the gym, it was asked, because they made the focus on having kids do it in the memory of someone or in honor of someone, or just for someone who they know might be struggling with heart issues and heart disease specifically, and to hear some of the really poignant comments that in kids K through 5 were invited to come up and speak in front of their peers. They did 3 sessions, a K1, 2, 3, and a 4, 5. To hear some of our students speak in front of their peers regarding who they were jumping rope for heart for was enough to bring tears to your eyes. It was really a touching moment as far as that has a lot of meaning to it. So congratulations and a lot to both Mr. Laux and Ms. Pamplin. And finally, you wouldn't believe when you look outside, but spring break is next week. That's all I have.
All right, thanks, Scott.
You're welcome.
So we get into committee reports before we get into policy and facilities. Did any other committees meet since our last meeting? Yes, Jay.
We had a meeting, myself, Matt, Scott, Debbie, and the superintendent. We met on Monday night to talk about administrative staff salaries and how we were going to address the money and that was included in the budget to increase paraprofessional salaries and how that was going to be allocated. We had several discussions about how to do that, the different considerations, and I think the meeting ended with essentially a proposal that Debbie was going to sort of run the numbers on for us so that we could meet again and discuss what that looked like and see if that was sort of in line with what we thought was appropriate. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think
So we haven't really come to a conclusion at this
No.
point, or have any solid recommendations at this point, but basically it was, we want to see what it looks like numbers wise, and then maybe we'll either, depending on what it looks like, change it or
Yeah. We'll probably
make a
meet,
recommendation.
Assume we'll meet again or do it, or meet via email or
Yeah,
share some more
yeah.
ideas, so.
Okay. Do you think you'll do that before the next meeting on May 9th, or will it be the
I would
second?
think- yeah, I would think- I think
That was
It's
so.
3 weeks away.
That's the goal,
so-
kind
That
of,
was the
yeah.
talk.
Because we also need to get contracts out and that sort of thing too.
Sure,
So
yeah.
we need to discuss it as a board.
Thank you, Jay. Risk management met the other day. We did, it was our 3rd meeting out of 4 for the year. We did the walkthrough of the middle high school building, looking for any glaring hazards there. Didn't find any. There was some discussion about the back entrance, which we've talked about in the past, which I think is going to be addressed over the summer to get that kind of on par with the rest of the entrances as far as being on the key card system. And I think I don't have my notes here, Debbie, but I know we talked about loss reports as far as,
Yeah.
you know, we've had a number of more reports than in years past, incidents, but it's totaled as $0 as far as losses go. And most of them, all but one, were student-related, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Like vandalism?
No, like,
Interaction.
yeah. Like student-teacher interaction, someone, I don't know what's the best way to describe it.
What was the question? Yeah.
As far as the
Description of what the
Yeah.
things were. I would say a student interaction, some with student to student, some with student to staff, where someone could have gotten hurt or, you know, not to the point of just reporting, but not to the point of any harm. There are certain levels, there are defined levels in the process, and none of them reached any of the higher levels, based on what was collected.
I think that pretty much covered the whole meeting. We spent most of the time doing the walkthrough.
Can I ask a question? I don't know if it would fall under risk management, but when you mentioned the back door, in years past, we've had a porta potty out back for, you know, right now, people are accessing our building. So I don't know, do we plan to get a porta potty out back again for?
Yeah, you usually do.
Yeah, right now, we are planning on getting one.
Okay.
Any other committees before we move on?
Yeah, we
Yes.
did have emergency management.
Oh, right.
Committee meeting occurred, and we reviewed all of the infrastructure grant expenditures and how the team was going to be, the committee was going to be involved in that, especially the fire and the police. And we also discussed and this has been brought up several times by different agencies that have assessed the school. One agency, the NEASC, which is your accreditation program, and the other one was the Homeland Security. When they did their assessment in 2014, had noted that we only have one entrance and exit into this area, and the emergency personnel were concerned that in case of an emergency, there's only one way in and one out, one way in and one way out. And so the other option, and I know this has been discussed in the past with the community, is the Pollard Road access. And so the committee was wondering if the board could have, if the superintendent could go in front of the planning board, Lincoln Planning Board, and describe the situation, and only use that access area for emergencies only.
Yep.
So it would be gated, and emergency personnel would be able to open and close and do whatever. Right now, everything is big rocks,
Right.
you know, across that. So that was something that I said I would bring forward to the board and see if the board would want me to go, you know, and go to the planning board and just, you know, present the case and see what they would say. I know in the past it has been presented, however, it has been presented for not just emergency.
Right, as another entrance and
Right,
exit
it's
or an
just
exit.
another,
Yep.
you know, access, and so
And
that
what's-
it would be used on a daily basis. That's when the community got upset.
Yeah, and so their hesitation is that it's Pollard Road, it's a small residential road.
Yeah, and if you were
Traffic
using it on a
flow.
daily basis,
Right.
then you would have a lot of traffic,
Yeah.
increased traffic.
Yeah.
But if it was just for emergencies only, you know,
Yeah.
you could do that. And that may include if a DART helicopter has to land
Right.
and, you know, whatever,
Mhm.
and the timing. So far, it's never happened. I mean,
Yeah.
anytime they have
Well-
landed, everything's been fine, you know, I mean, they've been
Yeah.
able to use the area was theirs. But, you know, just so that would be another access in case
Makes
of
sense.
an emergency.
Yeah, like I said, we've discussed that in various different versions of that, how to use that, but I think I would be for,
Yeah.
you know, having Judy speak to the selectmen to see if we could access that right away to Pollard Road, just as, like I said, an emergency use, to have it as a gated off area, so there's no traffic coming to and fro, except when absolutely necessary.
What's the condition of that? I mean, is that something that if we got permission to do that, would we want to pave that, or is it?
You wouldn't have to.
You wouldn't have to?
It is
Okay.
in excellent condition.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
fine.
Isn't there a drainage in between there and the parking lot, though? So like a little drainage ditch there? Or is there a culvert? So that it's like a,
No, I think it's,
like right here at the end?
I think it's built up.
No,
There
it's-
is,
everything is all,
but it's built up where the
Right.
path is.
Okay, so there's
Yeah.
a culvert there.
I think there's a culvert there.
I think when it was developed in case.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm assuming, so it was developed
Yeah.
appropriately.
And you said this idea came from your emergency meeting?
Yes.
Committee meeting, so that was with the two, I assume the chiefs were there, the police
The two
chiefs and the fire chiefs as well?
Yeah, fire chiefs and the police chiefs were there.
Okay, so they were on board with that, and they think that's
Yeah, they thought that was, the
worthwhile.
fire chief was, concerned, that they couldn't get in and out with the trucks if anything ever
Right.
happened, so, so we could certainly, I could bring one of the chiefs with me to the planning board if that's what they would, they wouldn't mind having something,
Yeah, yeah,
with
might
them,
be.
but that's, it doesn't matter either way to me, but I'll.
Well, it might be
I'll
nice
consult
to have
with
another stakeholder,
Right.
Right.
outside of the school
Right.
district that sees the importance of
So
this.
it's just not the.
Yeah,
it's not
yeah.
the district. Yeah. Okay.
Professional development was scheduled to meet on Monday, but due to the ice storm, it's going to be rescheduled, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll be rescheduled in early May. We have
Okay.
the results from the staff survey on the last into list.
Okay. Moving on to policy, we have a number of policies that were up for first reading that were reviewed by the policy committee.
Don't you want, no,
Was that?
you want to be mindful?
No, we're gonna get to you. This is quicker.
Okay.
Is it, I don't know. I have a lot of comments on the policies that I read.
Do you?
Yeah,
Okay.
this is the time.
Well, we'll still get to you, Brian.
Okay.
Don't worry.
Go over your head.
Where would you like to start, Jay?
Start with the bullying policy. It's the first one on my stack here.
The JICK?
Yep.
Yeah, JICK. Yeah. And Judith, is this, am I reading this right, that the stuff that's crossed out in red are changes that are being made, and then anything that's italics is stuff that's been added?
Right, red's been
Okay.
eliminated, italics is
Okay.
added.
My first thought was, or my first looking at this is that the requirement in RSA 193 F4 paragraph 2 says that the policy, any policy must include certain definitions, and we only have 2 of the 4. So bullying and cyberbullying are defined, but there's 2 other definitions that are included in the statute that say must be included that aren't included in the current version of the policy. So that's, basically, I don't think it would be legally insufficient under the statute as a appropriate policy.
What
So-
were the other two?
Sorry, I don't have the,
Oh, okay, that's right.
no, that's fine, I can pull it up real quick, take 2 seconds.
And was all of this stuff, all this new stuff, is this what the new one that's recommended? Yep.
Yeah, we took these verbatim from the the School Board Association recommendation in the policy. Eliminated a lot of the language that we had in there on our own, I think.
State of New Hampshire has got a brand new mobile website that is useless, apparently. Okay, sorry.
Shocking.
Um, Okay. The school board, so the school board shall, or the policy shall contain at a minimum the following components. A statement prohibiting bullying, statement prohibiting retaliation, requirement that all pupils are protected, and the procedures. And so the definitions include bullying, cyberbullying, perpetrator, school property, and victim, as well as electronic device, perpetrator, school property, and victim. So we have bullying and cyberbullying, but it doesn't appear that we have specific definitions for the other, several other,
Electronic devices there, right?
well, so, right, so electronic
And
devices,
school
yes,
property
sorry.
on
And
the
school
back,
property.
But not
Where is
victim.
Cyberbullying.
But not victim.
Victims not?
Victim, so it's, yeah, perpetrator and victim.
Perpetrator
Or-
and
or-
victim.
apparently.
Defined.
There was some other things that seemed to me to be ripe for a description or a definition that are not defined, specifically school-sponsored activity. I think it makes sense for us to have a specific definition of what that means. Because not necessarily everything that the school's involved in is a school-sponsored activity. And some things that they may not think of as a school-sponsored activity are. So if we're trying to identify a specific, a policy that everyone can easily understand, it makes sense to have it easily defined. And then there's some other, so the policy uses school-sponsored activity and then school district functions, sort of interchangeably, and it makes sense to use consistency of language so that it's clear what we're talking about.
Can I make a suggestion, Jay?
Yeah.
Just on this policy, you're on the policy committee now, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so it seems like you have a lot of information on this policy and ideas. Maybe we kick this back to policy committee.
Yep.
And then you.
I actually haven't had a chance to look over any of these, and we'll definitely have questions, I'm sure, so.
You're on the
Okay.
policy.
That's fine. I mean, we can have a deeper discussion because there's some inconsistencies in like the deadlines for the principal to begin an investigation and to make reports and
Yeah.
and some spots it says 5 days. There's spots where it's 10 days. There's 2 days, and it's not necessarily consistent across the policy.
So who's the policy committee? It's
Me, Jasmine, and Jay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, Vance was on it.
Right.
Before Jay. I mean, we could take all these policies, if we want to review all these policies in more detail as a committee.
I hate to do that just because I haven't had a chance to read them, but I would definitely like, I mean, I know I can comment on them in second reading, but if we're gonna hold this one back anyway, maybe
Yeah,
we can.
no, we can do that, yeah.
Okay.
I don't think
So
there's
we'll
any
just-
urgency to it.
No, so we'll put them back on first reading for the next meeting. So we've got a policy meeting on,
What's the next meeting?
on the May 9th before the board meeting, so we can go through this packet then.
Bring
Okay.
it to Virginia Beach with
And
us.
that's to include everything because there was some additional issues with the
Yeah, every,
sexual harassment policies as well.
yeah, every policy that we had up tonight for
Okay.
first reading,
Sure.
we'll take back to committee.
Okay.
Thank
And
you.
I think that makes sense, since you didn't sit in on the last committee meeting, you're new to you
Yep.
haven't been into a committee meeting yet.
Nope.
No,
No.
I am fine with that. So Brian, facilities, I know you guys met tonight. I know there's a couple items on our agenda under continuing business. I don't know if you want to touch on anything new before getting into that, or if there is anything new.
Well, there's a few things we have to do, I guess. So bids for the roof. We have all the bids for the roof. There was some discussion about the bids for the roof. We would like to recommend going forward with R&H Roofing. That was a bid that came in at $140,990. So we recommend that the board accepts the bid for $140,990 from R&H Roofing. And we will also be adding a clerk of the works to that project.
Now, during your meeting tonight, were you able to speak with Scott of Garland? Did he called in and you
He was,
Oh, he came, oh, okay.
He was here.
Because I know Judy said he wasn't sure if he was gonna make it.
Jay especially had some concerns about the pricing, and everybody did. It was good to have him. He represents the product. He's worked with all the people that bid. He gave us reasons why we got funny bids, mainly because they're flooded with roof work right now.
Mhm.
And so a couple threw some things out there. He's happy with all of them. He felt most comfortable in the price range with going with these guys.
for the size of the project and.
You know.
Is that the lowest bidder in the?
The lowest of the.
Three using their product.
The lowest of the
Of
three
their
using the
product.
Garland product?
Yes.
Correct.
Right, so
Yep.
not Melanson.
Right.
No.
So that it's not the recommendation of the committee to even consider using that system?
The other one?
Yeah.
No, because we feel we'll get more backing from this one, where Scott came today as well. We're still gonna recommend having the clerk of the works on the project. However, he says he averages like, you know, at least 1 to 2 to 3 days a week on project, verifying that everything's installed to their specs.
Just as a rep for the company?
Yeah.
As a
Not
rep
somebody
for-
that we're paying for?
No, just so that when they back, when it comes up for their warranty to be held, everything's done to their, you know, specifications. So we'd have actually 2 eyes on the site, you know. He was confident with all the different groups. He didn't have anything bad to say from any of them, you know. This group particularly has done a whole bunch of schools in New Hampshire as well.
Okay.
There was discussion, Mike had asked a good question about what would void, you know, what type of activities or would void his product, and he, you know, it was all reasonable. So,
He doesn't, so it sounds like some of it was what we suspected, was like, just throw a high bid and hope you get it, and if you get it, you get it, great. If you don't, then it's no big deal.
right,
You have
because
plenty of work.
they still have a ton of work, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, he said the one that was at 181, something along the lines of they had just recently accepted a bid for a project, you know, within days of that bid coming in. So, you know, it was just, it's timing. He said that everybody's pretty much backed up right now, and it's gonna be a big year. So he wasn't surprised to see some people just throwing the Hail Mary at it. But he has worked with all the companies, which was nice. You know, he didn't have anything negative to say about any of them. So I think we should go forward with that, and I'd recommend accepting the bid for $140,990 from R&H
I'll second.
Roofing.
Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? All right.
And did that include, I'm sorry.
Clerk of the Works.
Clerk of the Works?
Yep,
Okay.
so we can go forward and advertise for Clerk of the Works. While we're on Clerk of the Works, I'm also asking that we advertise for that for the flooring project that's in the school. We had a couple bids, both of which we had worked with us in the past, I guess.
I don't know if both of them had this.
This
The
one
Edge Pro
did.
has been doing the floor
Has
project,
been
the
doing
3
the
years.
floor?
Yep.
You said something about
Yeah.
guys that worked for the different company or something.
Oh, they
like
had,
that.
Yeah.
between, okay.
The committee recommends accepting the bid of $102,457 from Edge Pro, and they had been doing the work on the floor. The one issue that came up, that if there's one, I don't know. But we're over what our money was, and so if we accept the bid for 102,457, we're also asking that we go to remove 7,000 from the trust.
Yeah, Facilities Trust Fund for the overage and contingency on that project. So we'd have to have a budget hearing, or a trust fund hearing.
Yeah.
They were both over. This one was over by 2,400 on the 100,000 that we had. The other one was about $11,000.
Okay.
Was that 2 items?
Yeah, that was it. That was it.
Yeah, that was it, and the clerk of the works for that project as well.
And I mean, you don't have to do your accessing the trust fund, have that hearing for that now.
Right.
Wait until but just to have it on record that you
Yep.
did.
So is that? We good with that, or do we have to vote?
Yeah, so I'll make a motion to accept the bid from Edge Pro Flooring regarding the high school flooring project. Is it high school and, are we doing anything here? Just high,
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
both
Elementary.
elementary and middle high school building.
A second.
Thanks, Jasmine. So we'll be accepting that bid of 102,457, and then we'll schedule a hearing at some point to,
Yeah.
And we'll put out for
Look
the
into
clerk
the-
of the works for both.
right.
Yeah.
I need to,
One person for both, or two?
Get one.
Get
Yeah.
one and they'll look at, keep an eye on both projects.
Other projects?
oh,
Well, you need
we
to
got to
vote
vote.
on this.
Oh.
It's all right.
Oh, I interrupted.
That's okay. So, hearing no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay. Brian?
Infrastructure, grant projects. We need to vote that too as well, right? That's a trust fund.
Yeah.
So we're gonna request to have a hearing for $60,000, up to $60,000, which is our 20% match end for the grant. The total grant is $227,866.
So that's for the vestibules, the cameras,
Phones.
phone system,
Key
all the
cards.
security
Key cards.
grants that we got, the key cards.
Yeah.
And the thought was that
We
the
would-
elementary school would be hopefully this summer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For the
the
vestibule.
vestibule.
Oh, okay.
Not till the
So
the
the
other.
Well, the
school.
elementary vestibule and all of the knickknacks, the phone, the cameras, the key cards. It's, the high school vestibule will be done, we have to do it by 2019, or through 2019. So it could be next summer. It's because of the lack of bulletproof glass this day and age.
The lead times.
Lead time, yeah.
All the
Yep.
schools are doing it.
Right,
Yeah.
Everybody's doing it.
yeah.
Because the whole state got the same amount of money.
Well,
Or
the grants
They're
were,
gonna
the
get
same
they're
cycle of
all
grants.
awarded grant money at the same time.
And there's some other challenges down at the high, I mean, we have a vestibule here that we can retrofit a little bit, and there's more construction.
more
that needs to happen-
construction down
needs to happen
there.
Down at the high
Yeah.
school, we need more plans, that sort of
Absolutely,
thing.
yeah.
Is just the main entrance? The main entrances?
For this money.
So we need to set a date for that hearing?
You want to do
Well, if we
both?
can do it at the beginning of the next meeting.
The May 9th meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll post that, we're having the trust fund hearing on May 9th?
So will we move, will we do policy?
No, what we do is, it's just at the start of the board
Oh.
meeting, so we'll open the meeting, we'll open the budget hearing at 6:30, I mean, the trust fund hearing at 6:30.
Okay.
And then, once we close that out, we'll go right into the board meeting.
They need to sleep more.
That happens. It's not gonna happen anytime soon.
And do we have anything else under facilities docket?
Not currently, we just discussed a few different things, heating options,
Okay.
the standard stuff, so.
Yeah.
Update
Okay.
as I get more info.
All right, thank you, Brian. So business requiring board action, nominations, recommendations, resignations, do you have any, Judy?
Yeah, I'd like to go into non-public.
Okay. So we'll put that at the end, we're going into non-public. And then we have the grants. So according to your notes, so this is the thing you mentioned in your report.
Is that the
Every year
reason?
we have to vote to give the administration permission to seek and obtain.
Yes.
So I will accept a motion to give the superintendent and/or designee permission to seek, obtain, and expend any available funding to support or supplement the district's programs via grants.
Make a motion.
Thank you, Matt.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Aaron. Any questions, discussions on that? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And abstentions? So new business, the bus.
Okay, yeah. So we're currently waiting for the final report to come through the insurance company, but it looks like it's a total loss. So we'll be replacing that bus. That is our intention. Right now, we are using shuttle service to, we need 2 buses. We're using the shuttle service, I think, right now to transport some students. We're looking at, in the meantime, to lease a bus. So we're working on that too. The insurance will cover all that. But, so we just want to let you know that we will be moving forward as soon as we can, once we get all the paperwork straightened out to get a replacement bus.
So we'll be looking at that for next school year. We'd be looking to lease something for the remainder of this school year.
Yeah, I mean,
Because of the lead time with buses.
We have talked to a couple bus companies, and there's one company that had a couple buses on their lot. So if, we just have to see what the options are. Again, we're waiting for the report from the insurance
From the
company
adjuster,
too.
yeah.
But if it's available now and we can get it, we'll do that. But in the meantime, we'll be, leasing a bus until we get that.
Okay.
Do I recall that we were already in the market for a bus before this happened?
No, we're trying to sell a bus.
Or we're trying to sell a bus?
And we were looking at a van.
Yeah, like
Because
to
there are
have
other
another.
needs.
Yeah, okay, so
A
we were in the
minivan.
market for another vehicle.
Another vehicle.
So we had 3, we were down to 2, and now we're down to 1. Yeah.
So I think ultimately we want to have 2 and then a third vehicle being the van rather than having a third bus.
Use for
It's a little
small
overkill.
Groups of students, professional,
Yeah.
professional development, little field trips.
And I know that there was some, there's been discussion in the past, at least, of just using the shuttle service on a more permanent basis. And I know, well, that's something that was discussed at the budget committee, at least, that there was some talk of that. Is that something that is a potential possibility, rather than maybe leasing a bus for the rest of the year, just use it?
Well, we'd have to lease a bus because of the codes that are needed for school, transporting students to and from school. There's certain codes that I have to go by, and the shuttle buses don't necessarily have all the codes in place. So for right now, we can use it in an emergency situation, but we really have to get another bus to lease as quickly as possible.
Any other questions on the bus? Continuing business. So we went over the roof bids, board goal setting session. So we need to pick a date to get together to set our board goals. And you had some ideas on the timing of that?
Yeah, so there's the School Board Association is holding a workshop on strategic planning for school boards, and that's taking place on May 23rd. So I plan to attend that workshop, and I think there might be some information gained during that workshop that might be helpful in setting some relative or relevant goals.
Is that in the evening again?
Yeah, same deal, I think.
We have a meeting that night.
What day did you say? 23rd?
23rd.
We do have a,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you guys okay if I go to that workshop?
Yes.
I mean, if we have a quorum, right? I mean, I think, I mean, I'm gonna bring it back to the board the next time, too.
Yeah, if we only need one person there, that's fine.
Yeah, I
Okay.
just think, we
Yeah,
have
no,
this
that's a good
long list
idea.
of goals that we just kind of throw forward every year, and I think it might be more meaningful,
Yeah,
potentially.
absolutely, I agree.
so our next board meeting after that is June 13th. Do we want to set up something in between as to set our goals?
Yeah, we could do that.
Okay. Does it work for everybody to set a date now for that first, like, week of June, or should we wait till we're closer to it and get into May where everybody knows their
Yeah, maybe the
schedules a
next
little
board
more?
meeting.
Next
might be-
board meeting? Yeah,
Yeah.
so we'll put that back on the agenda and continuing business.
That would be good.
Because I know May is obviously, end of school year is always a busy time for everybody. And we can all know our schedules. The next item is board evaluations. I don't know if anybody has filled theirs out yet. I have not received any. You haven't? What's that?
I just got mine.
You just got yours, okay. That's okay. So I guess if everybody can take time between now and the next meeting to fill those out, and I can compile them, and we can discuss them at the May 9th, May 9th meeting. And you can just, drop them off at the SAU. Fran can put them in my box, and I'll get them. Was there anything else for continuing business or new business that anyone had that we might have missed?
Yeah, when we skipped over the roof bids, because you did it during facilities.
Oh, okay.
One thing that we do need to do before the end of the year is encumber
Oh, right.
money
Oh,
for the
you're right.
roof from this year's budget. So we can put it on next time's agenda and can do it now.
We could just vote on it now.
We just do it now.
Yeah,
What was the total? What was it,
95,000 from the 2017-18 budget, warrant Article 8.
I'll make a motion to encumber $95,000 from the 2017-2018 school budget, warrant article number 8 for the school roof.
Thank you, Matt.
I'll second.
Thank you, Brian. Any questions? Discussion? Okay. All in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? All right. Thanks for reminding us of that, Debbie.
I don't know if this is the right time to mention it, but I know that these committees were decided when I wasn't here.
Yes.
And I didn't know if I could rock, paper, scissors you for either the healthy communities or the wellness one. Unless you're like,
No, you can take one.
okay.
Matt is on wellness.
What's that?
Matt is on, oh no, it's Ellen. Sorry.
That's okay.
Oh, you pick one.
The coalition?
Okay.
Are you sure?
Mhm.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Sure.
All right. Mrs. McGinley,
Hey, how are you?
welcome. How you doing?
Not too much tonight. From Miss Krill, the Girls of Summer is bringing author Ty Gagney to speak about the book Where You'll Find Me. That's on May 16th at 6 p.m. And the English department is also celebrating April's National Poetry Month with Carry a Poem in Your Pocket Day on April 30th and attending King Lear at Jean's Playhouse, which was an excellent performance. They did that last week. And they appreciate that opportunity. It was also Poetry Slam in the elementary school today, which was pretty awesome. The third graders were very excited about it. They did it in their classroom, I guess. Lin-Wood Public School Spring Speaker Series, mark your calendar for Tuesday, May 1st. That's at Judge Broderick. And last Thursday through Saturday, sophomores Jade Fitzgerald and senior Jared Avery attended the All-State Music Festival, where they participated in our state's highest honors choir. They spent their time rehearsing with the top singers from the state and working with phenomenal directors, and it was an amazing experience for all of us. Then this is sort of a group. People said, dogs on property rule. This keeps coming up with staff. Is it a rule? Is it not a rule? If it is a rule, why is it enforced? And maybe we should let other schools know when they're coming to games, et cetera. If it's not a rule, can we take down the signs and bring our own dogs? This comes up in soccer season and baseball season.
Yep.
Soccer season, there were a lot of dogs Today, there were some dogs, visitor dogs and things like that. Also, lastly, Wellness Committee, tonight is our 4th of the 5 community dinner series, which has been amazing. Collaboration between Rotary Club, the Community Center, Rec Department, Smiley's, Price Chopper, Wellness Committee, and UNH Cooperative Extension Services. Really an awesome thing to be a part of. And also our high school wellness day is coming up on May 25th, where we have 2 periods where students will be, during each period, they'll be choosing from a minimum of 8 to 10 activities, trying to keep them as small groups. And the focus this year is on trying new lifelong fitness activities. So we have kickboxing, we have karate, we have Zumba, slackline, cornhole, as well as the usuals, yoga, strong, bar, all the things from the fitness center over there, and some outdoor activities, wiffle ball golf, and things like that. So making it a fun, light, try a new activity that could be a lifelong fitness activity.
Thank you, Lori. Yeah,
I was gonna say, but
probably the same thing.
the dog policy, who enforces that if there's games here? Whose job is that? Anybody? No? Is that an AD
Because I can
thing?
walk around and follow dogs around.
I'm not trying to be
No, I guess that's-
facetious
no,
about it, I'm
that's-
just,
That'd be me.
that would be you.
Yep. Yep.
Well, I think we need to, I'd like, because this question came up to me the other day as well, I'd like to find some clarification on it. Do we have a policy that states that? I know this discussion came up several years ago, I think it was before I was on the board, and that's when we started, the signage started to show up. What's that?
Is it that bad?
It can be, it's,
I
you
mean,
know,
it
people
could be
don't
a
take care of
liability
them,
for sure.
you know?
The
Yeah.
suggestion
I think it's
was
more
make all dogs
of the
leash.
issues are when people aren't watching. But if we have signs up and there aren't supposed to be dogs here, then there shouldn't be dogs here. And, you know, and if we need to notify other schools too because they're bringing their animals, then that's what it should be. I mean, we can't pick and choose. It's either or. It's not, you know, both and, so.
Okay, I'll see what the policy would say, if there was a policy. I'm sure there,
There has to be,
Yeah.
yeah, and there has to be
Signs up there.
something. We have to, you don't want a free-for-all either. Personally, I think it's more when people aren't watching. I think it's more on the weekends. I think it's more over the summer where we have issues where no one's watching. Someone's dog uses our fields to go to the bathroom, and they just continue to walk. But, you know,
Well, unfortunately, that happens during the school day.
yeah.
You know, people are on our property, you know, especially in the backfield, that we can't control. And I think that's maybe one of the reasons we led to starting signing the property, to try to encourage them, please don't bring your dogs on property. And I know, you know, there's been reports as the baseball team goes out there, they're discovering, you know, some waste. And it's not happening from people bringing their dogs to the games. It's, you know, it's either during non-school hours on the weekends or after school, or like I said, I've been out there during the day, you know, lining the field in the spring or the fall, and somebody's walking their dog across the backfield. It's unfortunately very hard to control in police, but I think we definitely need to, you know, have some clarification on what we want the rule to be, and enforce whatever our policy says in those other times.
Is it an insurance issue, do you think? Do you think the insurance company would have a problem if it wasn't a no dogs allowed, you know, essentially blanket policy?
they might have some type of a policy, yeah, we can certainly ask them. Usually, it's the New Hampshire School Boards Association that does have a policy. I don't know if there's necessarily one that pertains to dogs from the insurance company, but we can certainly ask them.
Well, I would think we'd have a pretty serious issue if we have signs up that say no dogs and someone gets bit.
Yeah.
Debbie, were you here then? I was at the meeting
Oh,
when that
right,
first
right,
came up,
right,
and
right.
it was,
Yeah.
About allergies.
Well,
It was about
no, it's
allergies.
not-
Right.
Some of it's the kids having to deal with that
In the
stuff, but
school, or when parents come and
no
pick
one wants
up
to
and they
police
have
that,
dogs
though. It's a
and
pain,
someone
you
has
know.
an allergy. I
I
think
just
that's
don't
where
know
it
whose
started.
responsibility it
That
is
was
if
And
it
then it was
does
like,
happen.
discussion.
no dogs on campus.
Right. We have 2 dogs that come down where I am at the stop sign, and where Rick is at the other one. There's 2 dogs that often come down, but they usually stay like 15 feet away, they know, like, they start coming over, and I'm like, stay, and they stay, you know, but neighborhood dogs. But I think it was more on the staff. It was always a pleasurable thing to be able to go to a game and bring your dog after leaving them in all day at work and things like that. And, you know, that's the staff meeting thing, that the staff teacher's room thing that comes up is like, oh, it was so fun when I'd go to the game, but I got to go let my dog out.
Anything else on the dogs?
Put that on the policy committee's
Yeah,
agenda.
I'll definitely.
We'll look into it.
I'll look into it. I'll definitely research that, yeah.
We can only bring golden retrievers.
Yeah. All right.
Well, that might be part of it, though, you know. They may say, hey, it's not in your best interest to let any dogs on property, you know?
Right.
At all, other than service animals,
Right, right,
if we wanted to go that way.
yeah. Community,
Yeah, I'd like to ask the board, Tony, to address the situation for the flagpole out here. The light that illuminates the flag has been pointing at the ground since mid-December.
okay,
You know, it's on, pointing at the ground since mid-December. And here we are today, flags at half-staff for recognition, you know, of a former First Lady. You know, and I've talked to, over the years, you know, I've been on different times, talked to Scott this spring about flag situations. To me, it's just disrespectful. I mean, and it's a law that we're supposed to have the flag flown during school hours. You know, talked about, they were gonna maybe reinitiate the safety students or whatever they were. They just put the flag up in the morning, take it down at night. You know, it's just, you know, it's an American flag.
right. Is that light mounted on the building?
Yep, the ice
Okay.
came down in December, knocked it off its fixture, it's pointing at the ground, illuminating the ground.
Okay,
Been that way since December.
okay,
You know, it's
Is it
this flagpole right here.
the elementary school flag?
Yeah. I got pictures of it in December when it came down, timestamp pictures, and I don't know why somebody like me would have to come in here and ask the board to, ask the powers to be, to tell somebody to fix it. You know, it's just, you know, and I'm the one that complained about out back, that flag.
Right.
Complained about the high school when it weren't. I mean, you know, there's a lot of other people that are, you know, I talk to them, but they don't want to take time out of their day, as you know, to come here and talk to anybody.
sure.
And it's just, you know, either take it up and take it down every day, or illuminate it the way it should be. It's just disrespectful.
I agree. Yeah, we can have administration look at that. I don't know, if Scott, if you want to, if we could put something out to the student body to see if there were volunteers that wanted to get into some kind of program with raising the flag and lowering the flag every day. If not, I think at the very least, we can address the light right now. But there might be students who would love that opportunity. You know, we have students every day that...
ROTC or something? Did we start
Yeah,
that program?
but even so, we have students every day that read the Pledge of Allegiance, you know, over the loudspeaker. You know, there might be someone who's like, you know, I would love to do that. Can we put that feeler out?
Put it again.
Yeah,
But just know, if we do that and get into the practice of that, that there's other things that come along with the raising of the flag, where everybody has to stop and, you know, salute the flag as it goes up and that sort of stuff too, so. You know, the timing of doing that should be considered. Not to take away from what it is, but, you know, even people dropping off their kids in the car, that sort of stuff in the morning, you know.
yeah, I think the first step would be gauge interest, and then if you get a number of interested parties, and you can go over in detail what it would entail. But yeah, I think at the very least, we can address Mike's issue with the light.
You know, have a staff member take it down, put it up every day right now while there's no light.
Yeah,
I mean, it's, you know, it's pretty simple.
but yeah, I agree. It seems like an easy fix.
The other thing I wanted to ask about was the grant money for the emergency that you received for all the, back when you were doing the PA system, I had asked, I guess, you were gonna apply for monies for the PA system. Was that part of the
It's
grant?
part of the grant,
Yeah.
yep.
So will
we
that
can
money,
go back and get it.
that
Yeah.
money will be going back into
Yeah.
the trust fund?
Yeah, that was within the window.
Okay, no,
Yeah, they told us we can go back and get that.
it'll be going back,
Yeah,
transferred back,
yeah,
yeah. Then I guess on safety. I was out there tonight when you threw us out there for non-public, and the heater cover right here in front of the office. It's been on for 2.5 months. It's just sitting there. There's a couple sleds holding it up. I mean, it's a safety issue. You know, if it falls off, the kid's gonna get burned. I heard you talk about your walk around. That's why.
We did the walkthrough
Yeah,
through
well,
the
you
other
see
building,
something.
because we did the walkthrough of
They
this
actually
building
dropped up there,
months
it
ago.
falls off. You know, kids are gonna get burned.
Okay. We can address that, or ask someone to address that. Okay.
That's all I have.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks.
Anyone else? Patrick?
You do have a little bit of an ROTC program here, right?
I believe we do. We still have participants in the ROTC
I think
program.
those guys would jump at the chance to do the flag every day.
Yep.
Just a suggestion.
Yep.
How long does it take to get the recordings on the website? The recording from the last meeting isn't on the website. I was interested in looking at it because I came 10 minutes before the meeting was over, so I wanted to listen to what I missed.
From the April 4th meeting?
Yeah, no, 2 weeks ago, wasn't it? Yeah, 2 weeks before.
That's 2 weeks ago, yeah. I'm not sure how long it takes.
I would think it would be up there by now. But, you know, I just don't know. I don't know who's responsible. I don't even know who's responsible for putting it up.
Yeah, I don't know if that's Trey still putting those up, or is it Mr. Adams
Yeah,
now?
I'll check on that. Usually it's up by now.
Okay. Yeah, I think Judy will check into getting it put up, but I think we'll put an emphasis on getting that uploaded in a more timely manner.
Yeah.
I know the official minutes need to be made available 72 hours or so. Obviously, Trey has other duties during the day, but if we can get them up within, a week,
Yeah, no,
I think that's a fair time
I
frame.
haven't got unapproved minutes, but that, that's only a synopsis of what was actually discussed.
Right, yeah. I think within a week, should be attainable.
Right, so, and in regards to your dog issue, I have, if I remember correctly, Jane Ludwig made a policy about that, started talking about it, and there was a policy made. And some of you that were on the board voted for it, so I believe you already have a policy, you just gotta go find out what it is.
Yeah.
The second thing is that I live in Woodstock, and I know what their dog policy is, their leash law is over there. I don't know what it is here in Lincoln, but although the school is a separate entity, it's still within the town of Lincoln. And if Lincoln has a leash law where dogs must be on a leash, then that can be enforced by the town's dog officer, who is probably the police department anyway.
Yeah.
So, it's the thought process for you.
Okay, thank you. Anything else?
I'm done.
All right, thanks. So we do have a non-public session to go into. So per RSA 91-A:3, discussion of matters that are likely to adversely affect the reputation of a person other than a member of the school board. So I'll poll the board to go in. Jay?
Yes.
Jasmine? Aaron?
Yes.
Matt? And Brian?
Yes.
All right.
No huge overwhelming votes after this, right?
There will be no votes when we come out. No? Not to my knowledge.
I'm just gonna go up to the building.
Oh, yeah, Patrick, there will be a vote afterwards.
Anything overly impressed that I might want to stay for?
We don't know, we can't gauge that.
I can't. I'm gonna guess no, but.
I'll take that as a no. I'll listen to it on.